When I was in my 20s, I went and visited my aunt. And she lived in California, and I hadn't seen her since I was a teenager. And I sat in the back seat with her two daughters in their car seats. And we were late getting somewhere. We were running to the car to get there. And then her daughter started crying because she didn't have a stuffed animal she really, really wanted. And I had come up from a suck it up buttercup kind of a family. And so it was really weird to me when I saw her turn around and touch her on the leg and say, "Do you really need that?" And her daughter was, "Yes, I do." And so she got out of the car and she went in the house and she got the stuffed animal and she came back and then off we went. But I was really floored by that experience because that was not my situation when I was growing up. And I was just going to ask you, why in the world did you do that?
Well, it was really important to me that my kids always felt seen and heard. Because when I grew up, I tried my best not to be seen, and I was not heard. And I did not want them to have that same experience.
So together we wrote the book Invisible Me and the Matriarchs, and this is Invisible Me right here. And I wanted to talk a little bit about why is it important for people to observe and see their children?
Well, that's a question that I didn't figure out till I was an adult. To not be seen and to not be heard is to not be valued and not to feel loved. And that's a terrible way for a kid to grow up. If no one is looking at you and recognizing your needs and recognizing your dreams, your anything about you, then you feel invisible, which is what I did. You don't feel valued, you don't feel loved, and you never feel heard. And it just, it's crushing. It's crushing to grow up and not have anyone know who you are.
Yeah. So in this process, we explored, we kind of dove right into who she really was, and we dove right into the pain, because invisible people carry the pain and the secrets. So if they speak, they're actually telling the secrets. So a person's secrets sometimes equal their identity. That is their experience. And so to actually listen to you and see you means that you have to expose some things that some people probably don't want to see.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's always important, or do you feel like that's only sometimes?
I think it's always important because growing up with family secrets, everybody's kind of, well, often, in my experience, operating under misconceptions. And building your life and your self-esteem and your who you think you are based on misconceptions is pretty difficult way to view the world and to deal with the world.
So when she faced all of her truth and all of her experiences, she also found some treasures. And can you tell us a little bit about the treasures that you found without disclosing too much about the book?
I will do my best.
Okay.
Well, growing up in the family that I did, I knew nothing beyond my parents. And that was not, it was a very unfortunate situation for a child. And I had occasionally met my maternal aunt and my paternal aunt, but that was the extent of my knowledge. And so I really had no idea who I was or where we came from or how myself and my siblings turned out so differently than my parents. And we jumped into the family history and we learned so much. We have an amazing family line, especially of women who survived really hard circumstances. And it was really fun to get to know them. And in the process, we learned a ton more about ourselves, about why we are who we are, why we act the way we do, the things we love, the things we don't love, just so much that we had in common that we had no idea. It's kind of like finding not just your own identity, but finding out the identity of your whole family.
Yeah, everybody who came before you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as a therapist, I really encourage invisible people to really research that, because you would not be here if there were not some treasures in there that were worth finding. You would not have survived if there were not some treasures in there. And they're worth discovering, but you can only discover them if you jump into the mire and start washing up things and organizing things and finding those treasures that made you you and the strengths that made you you. So I encourage you to please read our book, Invisible Me and the Matriarchs by Anna Myers and Kara Hudson. Thank you so much.
No, thank you.